updated it.
But this building wasn't included. Yeah, it didn't say which buildings? Really? It should have said buildings, because there were specific buildings that were closed. Yeah. No. Those are even worse. Because it has too many chemicals. It's just not healthy. As long as it's free.
His is gonna kill us. Ours are safe. I think we can just. She didn't tell us. That's the one probably, yeah. That's the one I got kids to show up. And then you have to see it on.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this 3-in-1 Black History Month event. My name is Yinka Teller. I'm a counselor here at Broward College North Campus, and I also happen to be the Vice President of the National Council for Black American Affairs here at Broward College. And my president is right over there. His name is Mr. Richard Lewis. You see him waving at you. We have worked together with Joseph Pickering, our Student Life Director, and our Dean of Student Affairs, Mr. James Evans, of course, Ms. Novice Johnson of the Testing Department, and the Faculty Librarian, as well as that's Faculty Librarian, Ms. Rosa Gaskins, and his assistant, Senator Victor Lawrence, who happens to be a member of the Faculty Senate, to organize this event. Of course, I want to acknowledge the support of Ms. Anna, Professor Anna Cole, and of course Natalie Buto, who will also be they are bringing their classes to this event today. Our International Education Department also supported this event, so you can see that this is actually a product of cooperation from so many departments. The result of this collaboration, for the first time ever, a writer from Africa, Dr. Wale Okedion, is a featured speaker at this event. As Maya Angelou stated, Africa is more than a glamorous fact. It is a historical truth. No man can know where he is going unless he knows exactly where he has been and exactly how he arrived at his present place. With this in mind, I'm honored to invite Dr. Wale Okedion, a medical practitioner, former Nigerian congressman, and president of the Association of Nigerian Authors, to make brief remarks and read from one of his 10 published books, Tenants of the House. Tenant is a fictional account of his years as a member of the Nigerian House of Representatives, for which he emerged the co-winner of the Wole Soyinka Prize for African Literature. For those who do not know who Wole Soyinka is, Wole Soyinka was the first African to ever win the Nobel Prize in Literature. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and give Dr. Okedion a Broward College round of applause.
Thank you, Dr. Teller. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a bit confused about the time because I just came in from Nigeria. So the time in Nigeria is about 3 p.m. now. So, but yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank Dr. Teller and his group who put this together because originally the plan was for me to have a reading in Tallahassee and then go on to Atlanta, Georgia, and Cincinnati, and then finish up in Philadelphia on a 4-city U.S. book reading tour. But when Dr. Indicated his interest, I decided to add Rural College to my list. So I'm so happy to be here. As introduced, I'm a physician by training, but along the line, I developed a keen interest in writing. And I went into writing, and as of today, I have 10 published novels, many of whom have won local and international awards. Along the line too, I became the private physician to one of Nigerian top politicians in the 90s. And in my interaction with him, I used to criticize politics and politicians because I hated politics. And I used to make fun of politicians. Anytime I followed Chief Bola Ige, that was his name, and I followed him to election campaigns. And he got to a point when he got influenced by constant remarks about politics, and he challenged me. He said the only way you can improve politics is for those of you who have good intentions to join. And he gave me that very famous quotation by Socrates, that is, punishment for those who feel they are too good for politics is to be ruled by fools. And I took the challenge, and I enjoyed politics. My first time, I was given an elective position as chairman of the hospital's management board because of my background in medicine. I managed some of the hospitals in my state. But after that tenure, I took the full plunge, so to say, into politics and contested for a position in the House of Representatives in Nigeria. And it was, I can call it a baptism of fire, because it was a very different, entirely different environment to me, coming from a medical background and now having to contest in politics, particularly African politics, which many of you are following the news will attest to the fact that it can be very violent, unpredictable, and something quite expensive. So I contested, and I won a seat in the Federal House of Representatives in Abuja, Nigeria, where our Congress is located. And I was there between 2003 to 2007. And like I said, it was like a baptism of fire for me. So many things that were strange. One of the things that I collect vividly was the fact that during my election campaign, my election managers kept telling me to hype my electoral promises. So just tell them you can do it, you can do it. I said, look, supposing I can't do it after all. Oh, they said, no, don't worry, politician. Just tell them you can do it, and then later you can say, I didn't do it. And it was so strange to me, and so many things happened. I kept a diary during my stay, 4 years stay in the House of Representatives. And when I finished, I decided to put things together in a book form. Initially, I wanted to write a non-fiction book, but I was warned by my lawyers that, look, you get into trouble if you start mentioning people's names. That people collected bribes, they did this, they changed elections, they committed so many atrocities. They will take you to court, and you want to defend yourself. Why don't you make it into a fiction? And so that's why I decided to turn the whole thing around into fiction. And that's why my book, Tenants of the House, was born. I call them tenants, and my colleagues didn't like that donation, because I believe they are all temporary in the Congress, just like somebody who hires a house, you have to live after a while. And I try to change the characters in the book as soon as possible. Unfortunately, again, some of my colleagues recognize themselves in the book, and some of them took offense that I was articulating in some funny ways. But as a writer, you use everything, and I'm happy the book came out because it went on to win one of the most prestigious prizes in African literature, the Wallace Shirikan Prize for African Literature, 2003. And it's now on the recommended list of several Nigerian universities. The American edition was published last year by publishing outfit in New Jersey. And I came here July last year to Atlanta precisely to do the formal launching. And this is my second book tour to promote the book. My plan is to read just a little excerpt from the book and then allow a general discussion around the themes of politics, development in developing countries, and those of you who are familiar with African politics can also do a few talks. After Tenants of the House, I was commissioned to do a biography for one of the minority leader in the Nigerian Congress. And I titled that book, Fearless, The Emergence of Opposition. The interesting thing about this book, Fearless, is that the subject matter of the book, Femi Gbedemila, was a lawyer in Atlanta for many years. He was a Nigerian lawyer in Atlanta, Georgia, before deciding to go back to Nigeria to contest for election. And he celebrated his 50th birthday last year and decided to have his biography written. And a lot of his experience is similar to mine. But in his own case, was to run away from controversial topics. I will just read a few chapters from Tenants of the House. I handled a gun for the first time the day I saw one in Honorable Elizabeth Bello's handbag. Lizzie and I both represented Kaduna State in Nigeria. We were together in the House of Representatives. She was a smallish, light-complexion lady, usually dressed in a tight-fitting skirt and blouse that accentuated a beautiful and enticing 35-year-old body. A single parent with 2 children, Elizabeth was one of the 15 women that made up the 360 Parliament. She had let her sit that day to converse with another member of the Legislative Chamber and needed the document from her handbag. So she asked me to open the bag for her. My heart missed a beat. I swallowed hard. What? I thought, a gun here? You know, I can tell with women, but there it was, nestled comfortably in the crevice of Lizzie's bag. No nonsense about it. It was the real thing. I never handled a gun in my life before until that day. It was a small, round pistol. Elizabeth was brisk, a matter of fact, about it. Look, Sam, she said, it is my cute companion. It is small, lightweight, and very accurate. Easy to maintain too. I find it difficult to think of little Lizzie in a usually tight-fit outfit as a gun owner. I had often ogled her youthful and enticing body with many intent. Lizzie's smooth face belied her 35 years, and her shapeliness did not in any way suggest she was a single parent with 2 kids. How had she got the gun? I wondered. She told me an army officer to whom she was very close had given to her. It is a court defender to defend me, she said. She was amazed to learn that I had never handled a gun in my life. Where have you been? She asked me. Life is not about book. Get yourself a gun, Sam. Every politician needs one for self-defense, she said. Is it loaded? I asked, stroking the pistol with trepidation. Lizzie laughed irreversibly. It is ever ready. But how were you able to beat the metal detectors? Because the entrance to our hallowed chambers had metal detectors to scrutinize all incoming traffic. How naive can you get, Sam? She said. Look at this. And she showed me a lead-lined wallet and showed me how she was able to hide the gun from the the metal detector. But Lizzie, I ask again, have you had any occasion to use this your kid's companion? What kind of question is that? She stammered back. Am I a bumbling starter? You think I'm a newcomer to politics like you? She fairly shouted at me. Hear this and hear it very well. To kill is a crime, but to kill at the right time is politics. Wow, a chill traveled down my spine. I thought Elizabeth was bluffing in the past about her expertise in politics. But with this, that night I tossed and turned in bed, recollecting the episode of the gun. I recalled her words, to kill is a crime, but to kill at the right time is politics. Had Lizzie killed anyone before? I resolved not to discuss the issue of the gun with her again. What does gun have to do with serving one's country? And should I have come to the parliament? Now I thought it was too late to go back. The road here was hard. To get my nomination confirmed was a fierce struggle. I had coughed up half of my annual income for nomination. Perhaps I was naive. Innocent, I thought, was a better word. I had been in legal practice for a decade. I enjoyed going to court. Politics was something I watched with trepidation and pain. They call it a dirty game. But I was a clean man. I would join the game and contribute my culture to good governance and the promotion of a democratic culture. But I found that most of the debt in the dirty game was about money, not merit. Also, the godfathers, they don't merit. They were in for money. The local party chieftains accepted me for who I was. I survived the long days and sleepless nights and speeches and the money. Every step of the way, it was more money, more money. Money for the chieftains, money for the constituents Mongols, money for party stalwarts, money for party talks, money for polling agents. And then I fell asleep. And I had a dream. Where Lizzie said, I will spend 3 nights with you at the Hilton Hotel, but she must read this. Then she added in a note, smiling bewitchingly all the time. The note said, 3 courtesy notes, Honorable Sam, but you must buy me a gun. I woke up screaming. That is the opening part of the book. And I tried to do it this way because, like I told you, politics in Africa is a tough terrain. And so many things happen. A lot of violence, a lot of... and the story here, continue. I won't tell you what is in the story so that I can get the book yourself and follow. But the idea is just to bring out some of the issues that were really shocking to me in newcomer to politics. And the book, the story was told in the first person by Sam, who my alter ego, who was idealistic, wanted politics to be done the right way, but along the way, he had a lot of problems. And a portion about the book also has to do with the way speakers or those in charge of the parliament are impeached in many African countries on many flimsy excuse. In this book, there was an attempt to impeach the book and the speaker, and I'll just go into it. Yes. And of course, the speaker was trying to fight back. It had been a difficult day for the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives. Almost all the reports that came back to him from the different groups were negative. All his entreaties to the rebel group in the House were rebuffed. His worst nightmare came when it was discovered that members of his group had started joining the other group to whom the presidency had reportedly given a hefty bribe of about $100 million to effect his removal. In desperation, he decided to take the bull by the horn. He now decided to go out on his own. He opened the safe behind the seat and got out some money. Walking quickly, he put the equivalent of $2,000 into 10 brown envelopes and packed them into a bag. He collected a key from the car and told his man, his assistant, Usman, please, let's go for an urgent mission. I was aroused from my sleep by the constant ringing of the doorbell that was coming from afar. And as I sleepily rubbed my eyes and peeped through the bedroom window, I wasn't sure who I was looking at. I looked well, and I saw the Honorable Speaker, and I adjusted. Honorable Samuel, it's me, the Speaker. Kindly come and open the door. I was soon at the doorstep and found the Speaker standing alone in a loose-fitting grey shirt over black trousers. I'm awfully sorry, Honorable, for getting you up so late, he said. No, Honorable Speaker, I'm okay. I'm going to apologize. I know it's late, sir, but can I find something? I said, no, it's okay, Honorable Samuel. And I was nervous as I mixed the drinks in my kitchen. I was like a rat facing a trap. Whichever way my encounter with the Speaker went, I was sure that my credibility would be at stake. Back in the sitting room, I handed the drink over to the Speaker, who took a swig and cleared his throat. And he said, my dear Honorable, as you are aware, we came into the Parliament from different backgrounds with different intentions. And you, as a well-educated man, should not be joining the 11 group to plan for my impeachment. I want to ask you to find a way of joining me in pushing this democracy forward. He paused to take another drink. I still believe that you have superior educational background for us to do something good for the country. Suddenly, you look at me. I hope you will change your mind on this project. I assure you. And then, in the stillness of the dawn, the Speaker took his leave, brought out a small envelope, and he said, Samuel, you have this for your group. I know it's not up to what you got from the presidency, but please manage it. I was dumbfounded. Sir, how did you know I got some bribe from the president? You know what? He smiled. Samuel, I'm not a novice in politics. As should people have people swine on us, we also have people swine on you. And then as he took his leave, I was still staring at him in confusion. Again, like I said, the Speaker also tried to woo people back to his side. And the story went on. And an interesting aspect that I added to the story was the fact that in Nigeria and many African countries, there's already this conflict between nomadic cattle rearers and farmers, because sometimes these nomadic cattle rearers drive their cattle into the farmlands and they eat up the crops rather than the farmer. There's always incessant clashes. So one of the things Samuel wanted to do was to enact a bill or a law that we allow the cattle rearers grazing field so that there will not be any clash. And many of the cattle rearers are the Fulani stock in Nigeria. For those of you who are familiar with Nigeria, we have three main ethnic groups. We have the Yorubas, we have the Igbos, and we have the Hausas. I'm from the Yoruba group, although my attire belongs to a smaller group called the Tiv. The Tiv are in the Benue Plateau area of Nigeria. The Fulanis are mostly the nomadic cattle rearers, and they take their cattle around the country, looking for water for their cattle. All attempts to settle them down are failed because they believe it's part of their life. They need to move around, and in the process, they come into conflict with farmers because many of their cattle really devour their crops. So one of the things Samuel wanted to do was to enact a bill to give the Fulanis the full grazing rights on that to take their cattle. So in the process of doing this bill, Samuel went into the Fulani community to talk to them, to get their support, and then in the process, he fell in love with the Fulani girl. And the Fulani girl, at the end of the day, decided to marry the Fulani girl. And this was another conflict, because the Fulanis are Muslims, and Samuel, being a Christian, will have some problems in marrying a Muslim Fulani girl. And to the consternation of many people, he decided to convert his religion. He changed from being a Christian to a Muslim just to marry this Fulani girl. And that wasn't the only problem. There is a practice among the Fulanis which is still being practiced. It's called when you want to marry a Fulani girl, to show that you are strong enough, you have to survive a flogging ceremony. You'll be flogged about 10 strokes on the cane. And if you can withstand the pain, then you are truly ready to marry the girl. And so, somewhere in this story, apart from converting to Islam, he started to put himself up to the ceremony of being flogged. And just with a little of they call the ceremony a Sharo ceremony. The Sharo ceremony, as practiced by many nomadic Fulani ethnic groups, is a public flogging event, which is a test of endurance before a young man can marry. And the ceremony usually held twice a year. I decided to be flogged on the market day. And it was fixed for the second week of September after the dry season. It was a market day, and the whole community turned out getting dressed. There was a lot of drumming, dancing, and acrobatic displays. As a prelude to the event, there were dances by the maidens, as well as performances by well-known minstrels. As I prepared to leave Uncle Tatari's house, where I stayed before the event, James, my brother, called me aside. Samuel, are you sure you can go through this? Is it worth it? Those other boys are very young and can withstand serious pain. Are you sure you can handle it? I don't want any terrible thing to happen to you. I'll be okay, I replied. In addition, my uncle has given me some herbal medicine which will prevent the pain, he assured me. I was accompanied to the open space, the marketplace, by my friends, including Batejo and some of our relatives. All in all, we were about 10 suitors to be flogged for 20 maidens. I was now naked to my waist, my body rubbed with shea butter mixed with some herbal cream and prepared by Uncle Tatari. On the field, we had gaily dressed maidens and drummers who were already performing their acts. Dressed in their traditional hand-woven white native material, the dancers performed their acts. The whole place was in a festive mood. And as the maidens we contended for came out to dance, the tempo of the drums increased. Moments later, it was our turn to move to the field. The tempo of the drums now increased, as several youths cried out shrilly. Some of the Fulani men, including some of Gidado's friends, openly admired my athletic body and appeared worried that I might eventually win the contest. But it was not all commendation. Some of the other Fulani boys who did not want me to marry from their stock were making fun of me. You will be so flogged that you won't be able to find your way home again, they threatened. I only smiled and promised to go home with Batejo, my maiden. Soon the contest began, with the first two contenders joining the lot. The fellow who won the lot was a tall, dark fellow who quickly struck a post, brought out his lipstick and mirror, and started applying it, while his rival and two other youths were to start flogging him. As the long cane struck his body, blood swelled out from the ensuing bruises, but the man did not flinch. Stroke after stroke landed on his body, drawing blood. But the fellow continued applying his lipstick, even asking for more strokes. I couldn't believe it. The man was even redoing his makeup in the process. He was contesting. After the mandatory 9 strokes, the boy did not show any sign of pain, and he was carried shoulder high by his relatives and well-wishers. While the maiden he was cutting for came over to wipe his sweat from his body. The next man was not that lucky. Either he was too weak or his charms failed him. The fellow could no longer bear the pain and fled from the field after the third stroke of the cane. 2 other young men went for the ceremony. Finally, it was my turn. 3 youths including Gidaduwa, to administer the flogging at the rate of 3 strokes each. I took the first 6 strokes without flinching, even laughing and taunting the fellows administering the strokes. That's why the fact that by then, blood had started oozing out from my chest wounds. Impressed by my performance, the drummers increased the tempo of their drums, while Batejo came forward smiling and wiped the sweat and blood from my body. It was now Gidado's turn to flog me, and I could see his worried and nervous looks. He dipped his forefinger into a small leather pouch by his waist and brought out his whitish cream, with which he smeared the tip of his long cane. I taunted him by gesturing that he should be quick. As the first stroke landed on my back, pain like an electric current ran through my body. Still, I managed to appear unruffled. However, as the second stroke landed on my chest, blood spread out of my body, and a searing pain of unimaginable degree overtook me. Instantly, I let out an ear-shattering scream, tried to flee from the field, but collapsed in a heap on the dusty ground, crying. So at the end of the day, Samuel could not withstand the flogging ceremony, and he lost the maiden. The Fulanis, for those of you who are not familiar with them, are a very romantic ethnic group in Nigeria, and even their men try to dress like women. They wear skirts, blouses, they apply lipsticks, and they can be very, very daring when it comes to courtship. And this aspect of the story was put in to spice the book, because it was, I didn't want to make it too heavily political, and that's why that aspect put in. So I think I'll stop here about tenants, since, like I told you, the idea is just to whet your appetite and allow you to ask questions, and also if you want to get books. The other book, which I also mentioned to you, Fearless, the biography of a Nigerian leader of opposition in the parliament. Like I told you, he was an Atlanta-based lawyer. He was in Atlanta, Georgia for many years before deciding to go back home to Nigeria to contest. And this is one of the things we try to encourage. You must have heard so many stories about Africa, about Nigeria, about developing countries. Many of the news can be depressing, but I still believe that as young leaders of tomorrow, you have a stake in your country, your fatherland, to go back and try and put into practice some of the things you have learned in a developed country like the US. Incidentally, Nigeria is copying the presidential system of the American government, and we're still learning the ropes, and so many gaps that are still left to be filled, and against a background of poverty and we still have some substantial amount of illiteracy. Democracy, like somebody said, is always very difficult to practice in a background of poverty, because people are ready to sell their votes. In the last election, people are even ready to pay as small as $20 to sell their voter's card, because there are some politicians who went around buying voters' cards so that they can use that one to maneuver the results. And some people didn't even think twice, but they thought that, well, this is money I can use to buy something. If I vote for this fellow, what's guaranteed that he will look after me? So these are some of the problems we still face. But this fellow, Femi Gbajabiamila, who studied law at the John Marshall Law School in Atlanta, and practiced for a while, decided to go back to Nigeria in after 2003, and contested for a seat in the parliament and won. This is his third stay in the Congress in Nigeria, and today is the leader of the opposition party in the parliament, and he's doing very well. And he put this together as his biography, which I put it together as his biography, just to bring out some of the achievements he has gone through. I'll just read a little portion about his, on chapter 6, it was called A Return to America. Femi decided to return to the United States of America in 1997 with his wife and 2 children. He had decided to move his young family back to the States because he wanted to further his education. He was intrigued with the law in the United States and how it differed from what he had been practicing in Nigeria. So he decided to enroll in John Marshall Law School in Atlanta, Georgia, and obtain a Juris Doctorate so he could practice in the state of Georgia. It was a difficult time for him because he was faced with maintaining a young family. Mainly, he had to earn a living and still take on the very difficult task of studying for a law degree in the US. He worked at several firms as a paralegal, including Fred Anna and Associates. Despite all of this, he was a very studious person who took the task he had committed himself to very seriously. He was known among his classmates for his brilliance and dedication, and at work, he was known as a reliable employee. By dint of hard work, he obtained a Juris Doctorate, JD degree, at John Marshall Law School in Atlanta. He ended up graduating top of his class, magna cum laude, and was recognized as one of the best graduate students of his class. He was admitted to the Georgia State Bar in June 29, 2001. In 1999, following his graduation, he established an immigration legal practice called Executive Legal Services in Atlanta. The aim was to cater for the needs of immigrants, a number of whom were Nigerians in need of legal advice for immigration issues. He later, after passing his law degree, and he said it was a lucrative practice, which I enjoy very much, he recalled. While in the United States, Femi still found a way to involve himself in politics. He was never want to distance himself from the governance of his community. In spite of the fact that he had a lot going on with work, school, and sustenance of his young family, Femi formed a group called African Renaissance Group. And the main agenda of the group was to raise votes in the African community for a mayoral hopeful, Bill Campbell. Femi readily slipped into a role as he was familiar to and canvassed for votes. Then he made a few trips back to Nigeria, and after a lot of consultation, he was convinced that he would come back to Nigeria and contest for a position in the parliament. On getting back to the United States, he presented his plan to members of his immediate family and a few friends, and he was surprised at the resistance he met. Their concern was that having set up a lucrative practice in Atlanta, why would he take a chance by returning to the uncertain world of Nigerian politics? True to form, Femi found a way of convincing them and buying support. So that was the turning point for him. He went back to Nigeria. After a lot of effort, he won a seat in the Nigerian Congress, and today is the leader of the opposition in Nigeria. This is just a pointer to encourage our young ones who are here that your country needs you. I will stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Okedino. That was a really engaging kind of presentation. Well, I happen to be from Nigeria too, and I'm glad that Nigeria just won the African Cup of Nations, I believe 2 or 3 days ago, right? So we are in a very joyous mood right now in Nigeria, having just won that died, and that was after 19 years of not being able to win that cup. So I'm very proud, and we are proud of ourselves as Black people. So we are very happy to have you here at Broward College. Now, our co-speaker today is Mr. Robert Lemon, an award-winning author and nationally famous motivational speaker in the United States. Robert Lemon is co-author of Multiple Streams of Inspiration, and author of Now Is Your Time, which dwells on fundamental principles and qualities each of us must develop to achieve our full potentials. Mr. Lemon will speak to the theme, Breaking the Barriers to Black Youth Success, today. According to an African proverb, God gives nothing to those who keep their arms crossed. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Robert Lemon to the podium.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Say good morning, everyone. Good morning. Look at the person next to you and repeat after me. If everyone would like you, there'd be no need for me. I am somebody. Look at the person next to you and repeat after me again. Look at the person next to you just for a minute. Repeat after me. Repeat after me. We are excited about being in this presentation. I want you to give Dr. Wally a hand clap. And I'm really excited about being here at Broward College, and I always try to interact and dialogue with the audience, and I want you to do this one more time. I want you to look at the person next to you and say, if everyone were like you, there'd be no need for me. I am somebody. I come to you from traveling across the United States of America to talk to you about the barriers of black student success, and I want to share with you, as I stand here today, I'll be graduating in May with my doctorate degree in religious education. I've spoken to millions of students across the country, traveled all the way to Cape Town, South Africa. I have one book called Now Is Your Time, which is 9 Steps to Reach Your Full Human Potential, and another one called Multiple Streams of Inspiration, in which 15 out of 20 of the authors happen to be millionaires who were just like you and I, who started right where they are, what they have. Knowing right where they are, what they have was plenty enough. I'm excited about Broward College, for one, because it gives me an opportunity to talk to a few of the students who are actually from Whitten Rogers Education Center. Now, I want to share with you Opelika, Florida. If you've never heard of Opelika, Miami Metropolitan-Dade and Broward County. It's #1 in the nation for poverty and #1 in the nation for murder. And I started my career at 4 years old through a pre-K program. By the time I was 15 years old, I was a senior at Highland Miami Lakes Senior High School. And I share with you that I started college at the early age of 16. And after 1 year, I went to the United States Air Force, and for 32 years, I served my rich uncle, and his name was Sam. Now, I want to share with you, I worked on this $1 million aircraft. I went from the boardroom into corporate boardrooms, now doing presentations of time management, leadership, and diversity. I've done many of the colleges in South Florida. I want to talk to you about how I was able to break the barrier of success. First of all, attitude determines your altitude. How many know attitude means everything? It means everything. Success for me wasn't the day I became a filmmaker. I did some documentaries called Vision to Victory, Field of Dreams, where I worked with about 9 African-American athletes in Metropolitan-Dade County who were actually looking for role models and mentors. Well, all those athletes actually went through high school, went on to college, graduated. 5 of them became millionaires. 2 of them was #1 draft choices. Santana Moss, he played for the Washington Redskins. Dwayne Starks was a Super Bowl winner, first Super Bowl winner for the Baltimore Ravens. I talked to most of the students about failure is not final. How many of you ever failed at anything in life? Ever failed at anything? Now, I'll share with you as I talk to you about failure. I want you to understand that failure is not final. Failure is only feedback. And feedback is the breakfast of champions. Now, I know right now where you are. If I were to ask the question, I usually do that. How many of you have ever gotten an F in anything, ever failed an F? You failed forward, am I right? Now, if you were to do a better grade than an F, what would that grade be? It would be a what? A D. So if you got a D, and if you wanted to improve your grade from a D, what would the grade be? C. If you improve a C, what would it be? B. If you improve the B grade, what would it be? A. Now, we got some smart students, and if you got a better grade than an A, what would that grade be? A plus, and I got some A plus students. How many A plus students I got? All right. Now, how many of you know if you get a better grade than A plus, what would that grade be? Above average. That's great. This guy, he's sharp. He's sharp. Above average grade is better than an A plus. Better than an A plus plus and above average, what would a better grade be? Success. All right, we got success. So now we have better grades. We can move forward. Now I want to talk about the ABCs of your success and breaking those barriers. I want to say to you, if you would better your best, better your best. I stand here today as a father, and my son, he was actually a student at Syracuse University, and he went off to college and he hadn't written home in a while. I want to share with you, he comprised the following letter, and I want to put things in its proper perspective, and it goes like this. He says, "Dear Mom and Dad, sorry it's taken me so long to write. I would have written home sooner, but my stationery was destroyed the day the demonstrators burned down the dormitories when Syracuse won the national championship in basketball. He says, I'm out of the hospital now, and the doctor said my eyesight should be back to normal sooner or later. A wonderful girl, Jill, who saved me from the fire, well, she kindly offered to share a cozy little apartment with me until the dorm is rebuilt. She comes from a good family, so you shouldn't be too surprised to learn we're going to get married. In fact, Mom and Dad, I know you've always wanted to have grandchildren, so you should be real happy to learn you're going to be grandparents next month. Mom and Dad, please disregard the above practice in English composition. There was no fire. I haven't been in the hospital, and I didn't get a girl pregnant. I don't even have a girlfriend. But I did get a D in chemistry and an F in biology, and just wanted to make sure you received this news in its proper perspective. Love, Terrell." I like to have a lot of fun, and when I talk to students about success and initiative and breaking the barriers, yes, if you were a 15-year-old senior at Highland Miami Lakes Senior High School, I wanted to go into broadcasting. I wanted to be, on TV Nightline 2020. I wanted to be a communicator. So I found out that as a communicator, wealthy people have huge libraries, and poor people have huge TVs. I wonder why. As I share with you, my knowledge has increased because I wanted to enhance my vocabulary. I went to the United States Air Force in 1980, and as a part of the United States Air Force, the first night was hell night. They came in the room, the drill sergeants flipped over our beds, they walked in the room. Is anyone here have any paraphernalia? Does anyone have any paraphernalia? I said, sir, yes, sir. They said, what do you have, son? I said, I have my deodorant bar, sir. Didn't know what the word paraphernalia meant. Does anyone here have any pornographic material? Do you have any pornographic material? Sir, yes, sir. What do you have, son? My girlfriend's phone number, sir. Didn't know what pornographic material meant. But every day I found out that readers are leaders. So I enhanced my vocabulary. And I practice every day. Speakers are speaking platitudes, trying to move multitudes, changing their altitudes, leading them into a lethargical lassitude, teaching them vulnerable vassitude. In other words, there's a lot of people talking loud and not really saying anything. But somebody ought to say something. I began to read and feed my brain. Understand, knowledge is wisdom. Knowledge is actually the new currency. Yesterday I was at a school to prison seminar, and they talked about some of the setbacks the kids are having in the inner city. You see, I grew up where it was very tough. For every one minority that went to college, 100 went to prison. And as a result of that, 86% of those in 1980 that were incarcerated happened to be minorities, but they didn't commit 86% of the crime. So I decided to make a difference, and I went back into the prison system and then the school system. And then I started doing not only motivational speaking, but I started giving back to the community. Because if you help somebody, you're helping yourself. I found out that as a result of crime teaches youth that they can get some type of monetary gain by committing a small crime, but inch by inch, they're creating destruction for their lives. So I did an evaluation, and I wrote about it in my book in the 9th chapter, that if you take a college kid at Broward College, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a year, if he committed a crime, give him a second chance, send him into a professional development arena, give him an opportunity to join the military, or teach somebody to mentor him and help him get a job, $8,000 a year times 4, he'll have a bachelor's degree. And it's cheaper to send him to Miami-Dade or Broward College or Florida State College than it is to incarcerate him. So to break that barrier, we have to educate. See, education is better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But they would much rather pay $56,000 to incarcerate for 5 years. They will pay somebody over $250,000. And for every child that fails the FCAT in 3rd grade, guess what happens? They're preparing another prison bed. If he doesn't pass in the 11th grade, they're going to go ahead and throw away the key. So I'm sharing with you, education is better than not needed, having and not needed, than needed and not having. Success was not today. I'm going to march in May 24th with my doctorate in religious education degree. Success is nothing more than a statistical event. When you make up your mind and you know what you want to do, have, and become. How many of you right now, I'm talking to some of the students, know what you want to do, have, and become right now? Raise your hand. Sir in the black shirt, what's your goal?
Me?
Yes.
Just graduating from natural business and going through imports and exports or something sort of like that.
Great. You have a greater percentage of success if you know what you want to do, have, and become. Somebody else. Someone else want to give it a shot. You know what you want to do, have, and become. You have your goals already. What's your name, sir?
Michael.
Michael. What do you want to do, have, and become?
I wanted to be a stockbroker.
Stockbroker. Okay, you good with numbers?
Yeah.
You know, they say money won't make you happy, but how many of you want to find out for yourself? See, right now, it's up there with oxygen. And I share with students across the country that as I begin to travel and I do time management and leadership workshops as well as diversity, that one thing about education, it'll increase your value, won't it? So as a result, I begin to write about success. Now, breaking the barriers to me was about finding a mentor. And Dr. Martin Luther King said that if you feed a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So I broke the barrier by actually being mentored by Les Brown, a motivational speaker, and others that have been imparting into my life. As a result, I began little by little to achieve success. I grew up in a very impoverished community, very poor. As a matter of fact, we were so poor, I don't say poor, I say poor. We couldn't afford to own an R. Well, Reebok so long that the R-E-E-B just fell off. Shoes just said okay. Holes in the bottom, but they were okay. Now, I have gotten excited about where I came from because in order to know where you're going, you got to remember where you came from. Feedback of my failure in life was that at one point I did not graduate from college. I didn't finish. I joined the Air Force, worked for my rich uncle named Sam, and he gave me the boardroom, aircraft. He gave me 3 meals a day. He gave me clothes. But as a result of 32 years in customer service, I found out if you help other people get what they want, it'll help you get what you want. So I began to write in my first book. This book is in the back, and some of you, I'm going to give you 50% discount today for those of you that would like to purchase it. We were 15 authors that wrote a chapter, and Brown Books picked it up. It happened to be a bestseller. 20,000 books went out first print. The second book I wrote, Now Is Your Time, 9 Steps to Reach Your Full Human Potential. I want to share with you how I was able to break my barrier. And as a student success initiative, I want to talk to you about your ideas. Write this down. Idealization. Write down idealization. Just write that down. Get the idea of what you want to do, have, and become. Write down idea. Second, I want you to write down vision. Write it down. If you write your vision, you know what that thing is that they put in front of you, 60 inches, you watch the Super Bowl, what do they call that? What? Television, am I right? When you see the television, it's giving you a portrayal of what you see. As a result, he said he's going to be a stockbroker. This other gentleman is going to be very successful. You tell people what you want to do, have and become. And when the student is ready, the teacher will show up. Look at the person next to you and say, when the student is ready, the teacher will show up. Oh, you saw Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3. You ever saw Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3? Have you ever seen that? See, the barrier was broken in Karate 1, 2, and 3 because Mr. Miyagi, you remember Mr. Miyagi? He began to say, wax what? Wax on, wax what? So he began to show that if you better your attitude, better your best, and number 3, you commit. If you have an idea and vision, I want to talk about the D, discipline. Discipline is the wherewithal to do what you have to do when you know you have to do it, whether you want to or not. Mr. Miyagi began to talk to the Karate Kid about focus. Psychologists say we have 30,000 to 30,000 thoughts a day. And what we think about the longest becomes the strongest. What do you think successful people think about? They think about personal achievement. They think about being stockbrokers. They think about being astronauts or being bankers, being real estate, being teachers and professors. What do you think unsuccessful think about? They think about, woe is me, my mother didn't love me. You know, there's some people so negative, you put them in a dark room, they'll develop. Some of you will get that next week. Some people look like they fell out the ugly tree and hit every limb on the way down. Look like their face been dipped in lemon, pickle, and prune juice. Triple dose of ugly. But smiling faces are going places. Now, I share that with you because I'm excited about my life. Every day that I wake up, I have the opportunity to better my best. I have an opportunity to work on my ideas and my vision. So I wrote about breaking those barriers by saying my association. How many of you know birds of a feather flock together? Eagles don't hang with turkeys, so I decided if I was a smarter person in my group, I changed my group. And as a result of that, I enhanced my vocabulary. I enhanced my educational wealth, I enhanced my personal wealth, and I broke some barriers. The thing that I want to share with you is that education, how many know it's better to have it not needed than needed not have it? I'm sharing some principles with you, ideas, vision, association of people, education. Write this down, information. Write it down, information. Dr. Wiley just spoke to you about his book and coming all the way from Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have him here. I flew to Cape Town, South Africa on a 20-hour flight. And I flew all the way there, and the first time I had an African experience. You see, I was born in Summerton, South Carolina, on the wrong side of the track. And to give you a little background about the history of the place that I was born, I shared it in my book. It was the fact that sharecroppers weren't allowed to go to school, so that they gave an opportunity for sharecroppers' children to graduate. My parents were the first to graduate from high school in Clarendon County, Summerton, South Carolina. At 16 years old, I went to college, and then after 1 year, I joined the Air Force. But just years ago, my son was the first to graduate in our generation from college. It's because not only is education important, but the information is also important. Why? Because you got to learn what not to do. Now, I want to thank Dr. Teller, Mr. Pickering, I want to thank Mr. Johnson for inviting me here today, and I want to talk to you about my confidence. Because my confidence came from a passage I heard one time called Dean Outflames, his creed. He said, I choose not to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity and not security. I do not wish to be a citizen humbled and dull by having the state to look after me. I refuse to live from hand to mouth. I prefer the challenges of life than its guaranteed existence. The thrill of fulfillment than the agony of defeat. I will never bend to any master, neither cower to any threat. It's my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid to face the world and say, this I have done. I decided to change my action. How many know action speaks louder than words? Tell the person next to you, don't talk about it. Be about it. Tell them, don't talk about it. But be about it. I had a portion of a documentary in which I talked to some students about being about it. Being about it, like Terrell Walden, who was in the 12th grade, and his mother never raised him, his father he never knew, and his grandmother died. He was given a scholarship to the University of Miami, and no one would help him. He couldn't pass his SAT, he couldn't pass his SAT, he couldn't pass the FCAT. But I get to talk to him about giving yourself value by reading. As he began to read, 9 months later, he enrolled into University of Miami. Given that opportunity, he got a scholarship, and in 3 years, he graduated. 9 other young men that I work with in the inner urban city, and I share with you the story because Opalaka was a very rough place. And I share this with you that success for me is not to lecture to you today, not to talk about what I'm doing, but I want to share with you your goals are just as important. Remember I talked about Mr. Miyagi? Focus, wax on, wax off. Look at the person next to you and say, if it is to be, it's up to me. I am somebody. Look at I, look at I, look at I. Look at I. Look at I. I am going to be the star of my life. I'm going to determine my attitude and my altitude. You know, I'm not going to talk like where I am. I want to talk about where I want to go. Because in my community, being #1 in the nation for poverty and #1 in the nation for murder. My wife, the beautiful lady that's sitting at the back table, we started a Believe Your Dream Foundation, where we help inner urban city kids, talk to them how to dress like a prospect and not a suspect. Told them to pull those pants up from being on the ground. Say yes, sir, no, sir. Good morning. Taught them the values of everyday life, the values that my father taught me. And by the way, as I stand here today, I left my mother who was paralyzed. She had a stroke in 2005. My father brought her home and he passed with cancer. And as a result, because of my education, I'm now able to help take care of my mother and 5 and 6 brothers and sisters. You see, success is not just the day that I'm speaking. Success is not the day that, I'm going to graduate. Success is the day that I made up my mind. And I want to talk to you about not only action, but your goals. What are some of your goals? What I found interesting is when I watched the Miami Heat play, everybody knows that LeBron is the king, am I right? No. Everybody knows that Dwayne Wade, the Miami Heat is the best, am I right? Yes. So as a result, when they take the basketball, they begin to dribble it. The success is not attempting to score. Success is when you put the ball in what? In the ball. So as a result, you got to take your shots. You got to take a shot at college. You got to take a shot at maybe a professional military career. You got to take a shot at being a teacher. Because Michael Jordan says every shot that you take, you're not going to make, but every shot that you don't take, you're guaranteed to miss. So as a result of my success, I took some shots. I took some shots of being born poor. I took some shots of being a person that was not, as a statistic, supposed to make it. And I shared with them on yesterday how when we were growing up and we had to go to school and we had discipline in school, and if you're not careful in the first grade, that's when teachers used to take a paddle to you. You didn't do your homework, you stayed after school and wrote on the board. Now, I'm so thankful that I had some people in my neighborhood who cared about me. And every time that I come to a college or see students, especially those of you who are from the neighborhood, I want you to know that one day you're going to do good. And my father told me before he passed, he said, son, I want to tell you, I've never told you this in your life. He said, but you've done good. And he said it because at the time that he told me, he was sick, he was very ill, he was very frail. But my father said, I've never told you this, but I'm proud of it. He said, I never told you this, but I'm just so happy for you. And then I took advantage of the opportunity to tell my dad how much I love him. And it reminds me of a saying I heard, it's not the words that your haters say about you. It's not the things that people try to put you down. But it's the words that people don't say that will forever ruin your life. Benjamin Mays, God's Minute. He said, I've only got a minute, just 60 seconds in it, forced to come, he can't refuse it. Did not seek it, did not choose it. But I know that I must use it. I will suffer if I use it, pay account if I abuse it. I've only got a minute, just a tiny little minute, and my life is in it. Look at the person next to you and say, you're in this to win this. Say, we can do anything we put our minds to. Now, one last question I have to ask is, how many of you one day like to graduate? Raise your hand. And then after you graduate, you want to get a good job. Then after you get a good job, you want to make a whole lot of money. Come on. I like that money. How many of you know money is a good thing? You better have it, not need it, and need it, not have it. Right now, money is a top priority. Come on. I want you to understand, money is right up there with oxygen. I got to have it. I got to have it. So if you're going to get a good job, make a whole lot of money, I want you to do this for, remember I said this, now is your time to make a difference in your community. One person, one opportunity at a time. Because as a result, now that I am a young 50, I've done everything I've been big enough and bad enough to do. And just recently, I retired after 32 years of federal government service. Dr. Teller will tell you that I've been involved in customer service. The service is the price you pay for the space you occupy. Anybody can serve. How do you one day like to be in community service and serve humanity? One day, you would like to help somebody in your neighborhood. So as a result of that, I want to tell you, keep doing what you're doing. Keep focusing on the thing that you want in life. And one day, that's going to be yours. I'm going to close by reading a bit by Joby Weeks, who's a young man who, he's in this book, and I always remember to talk about him because I want you to know you can fail forward. Joby Weeks is a gentleman. He was actually born with blue blood, rich traditional family in America, and he failed doing a lot of the things that he wanted to do, didn't know what he wanted to have, and didn't know what he could become. But as a result of him actually finding himself, Joby Weeks was known as a Galvanator, a modern-day Renaissance man. A raving teen, he started out a street pharmacist, getting arrested for all sorts of things. He was going nowhere fast, stressing out his parents. He decided to make a change in his life after having guns stuck to his head, screwdrivers held to his throat, deals busted up in international drug smuggling, driving stolen cars off cliffs. He ended up in a hospital on life support as a result of an overdose. After a lot of soul searching and prayer, God brought him to a purpose in his life so he can fulfill a legal network marketing business model. At the age of 24, he spoke to audiences all over the United States. But now Joby has financial freedom because he's the first teenager to reach a top position in a billion-dollar network marketing company. He is now controlling the movement of millions of dollars since the age of 20. And he oversees numerous international companies and loves to support various ministries. It's not where you start, but what T. Washington says, but it's where you're going to end up. It's not how did he die or how did he live, not what did he gain or what did he give. These are the measures to measure the worth of a man or a woman regardless of birth. Not what was their station or how was their heart, but how you going to play your God-given part. See, I was born to communicate. I was born to speak. I'm working on my third book. My dissertation is called Good Success. I'm going to share this with you that if you want to break barriers, you got to change your attitude. You got to better your best. You got to commit. You got to have discipline. Put forth the effort. And finally, focus on your failure. Failure is not final. It's only feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. As a result, my dissertation is going to be on good success because I realize success is not the day that you win the Super Bowl, Ray Lewis. It's not the day the Miami Heat wins a ring. It's the day you make up your mind that you're going to do, have, and to become. I want you to applaud Mr. Teller and Ms. Johnson and Broward College for giving us this opportunity. Now I want you to applaud your parents. I want you to applaud them for being good parents. And before I take my seat, I want you to stand up and give yourselves an applause. Just stand up and give yourself an applause. Stand up and give yourself an applause. Pat yourself on the back. It's how we know we're winners. Now, I know we have some students here from Whitten Rogers Educational Centers, and I'm going to ask one student to volunteer just for a minute because I want to make a point. I want to volunteer. One student volunteer. Come on, don't be quick about it. I got one. What's your name, sir? Deshaun. Deshaun, it's a pleasure meeting you. And I want to help you break a barrier of success, and I want to tell you something and never forget. I think I have a consolation for you. Oh, wait. I got a consolation for you. Now, as a result of everybody telling you what to do, how to become, and where you ought to go this way, go that way, do this, do that, go to military, go to college, go to trade school, become an electrician. Have you ever had that experience? So you feel great about your success because you want to break that barrier, am I right? And I want to share with you, this is something I'm going to ask you to do. Now, as a result of me asking you to do this, I want you to just close your eyes for a minute. Now turn around 3 times. Turn around 3 times. On the 3rd time, you're going to say stop. Okay. Stop. Now, I want you to do this for me, and I have in my hand, I'm going to ask you to point due north for me right now. Point due north. Due north. I-75, Turnpike due north. I want you to point due north. Are you sure?
Yes, I'm positive.
Who is your principal? Is the principal here? You want to help him out? You want to help him out? Due north. He says that way. You want to help him out? Who else? Dr. Teller, you want to help us? Due north. She did that way. Okay. What's your name again? Deshaun. Now, who are you going to listen to? Who are you going to listen to? The principal, Dr. Teller, or who are you going to listen to? You want one of your buddies? Ask one of your buddies where to go. What's your name? What's your name? Alvin? Ask Alvin where else to go. Okay, now which way you going to go? It's on you. Lunch is already paid for.
That way.
Which way you going to go? Which way you going to go? Dr. Teller, come on up. Which way you going to go? Come on, we only got a minute. That way, okay, Dr. Teller. I have in my hand a compass.
Okay.
Now everybody's telling him, which way did you tell him? That way?
I told him this way.
Okay, what did you tell him? That way? What did your friend, what did he tell you?
Wait.
No. Which way did you point? Okay, Dr. Teller, tell him which way to do north. Follow
I
now.
didn't buy it. Yeah, it's that way.
It's that way. So you just wanted your $5. Let's clap it up for this. I've enjoyed being here today. I'm actually excited about breaking the barriers of success. And I'm not going to share with you any failure stories because I don't have any failures, only feedback. I close by saying, if you want a thing bad enough, go out and fight for it. Work day and night for it. Give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it. If all your dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, but if you gladly plan for it, fret for it, and sweat for it, lose all your fear of the opposition for it, you go after the things you want with all your capacity, strength, and tenacity, faith, hope, confidence, and stern tenacity. If neither cold nor poverty, famine, or gulf, sickness, or pain, body, or brain will keep you away from the things that you want. Dog and grim, you besiege, you beset it. Go for it. With the help of God, you all will get it. God bless you. This is Nick Robinson.
Wow, I was already getting drowsy, but I think Mr. Lemon, brought the house down. Thank you so much. Let me just a few housekeeping matters. We do have food for you. We have food, so we're going to serve food after this event. That's a way of saying, don't leave. And by the way, you cannot say you are going to the next class because classes have been cancelled because of the power outage that we have in some of those buildings. So there's nothing you are rushing out to go and do. Okay? Also, Professor Kaur actually introduced Dr. Okediron's book in our class, in our English 1101 class, and I understand that they have a few questions for Dr. Okediron. So I'm going to turn it over to Professor Kaur to actually come over and conduct like a 5 to 10 minute session of our class so that he can ask questions of Dr. Okediron. Professor Kaur, please.
Yeah, I think we had a very engaging discussion, and we actually have Angela Uwu, Dr. Okediron. She is from Nigeria. So, Angela, did you want to share?
No, remember when we was like,
You can stand.
they were all asking who was banned, and they wouldn't know what it was. I don't remember. It was one of you guys that asking.
Yeah, we were talking about Sam in class. He's the guy who's first person in the book, and we were wondering, like, is Sam a metaphor for you, or is Sam a fictional character?
We didn't really read the whole book. We only read like
Thank you very much. For a writer, you have to take a very difficult decision on how you want to write a book. You read the third person, first person, or any other way. And in writing this book, I had a problem of how to go about it, particularly since I was involved in the whole situation. And I want to say, okay, how much of it should be for me? And that was why I decided to create Sam. I really feel that a little of me is in Sam, because I entered the parliament with a lot of idealistic mission. Although I'm not a single parent, because Sam was a single parent, yeah. And I also try to do it in the first person. And the problem you have when you are doing the first person narrative is that you run the risk of people saying, so you are the character in the book, because you are saying it as if you are the one. But the beauty of first person narrative is the power and the insight that it brings into the issue. Again, Sam is a Christian in the book. I'm also a Christian. But in order to create more tension, I decided to, I'm from the Yoruba area of Nigeria. I'm from Oyo State. But to push the character away from me, I made Sam to be a lawyer. I'm a medical doctor. I made him to come from Kaduna State. I'm from Oyo State. I made him to be a Hausa. I'm Yoruba. That way I was able to push as far as possible. But by some of his ideas, because people say most literature is autobiographical. A little of it was in Sam, but everything was in Sam. The other problem I had was Lizzie, because some of the female some of the congressmen and some of the congresswomen who are my friends were not happy. They thought maybe I used them as Lizzie in the book. Again, this is a risk you run as a writer, and you must not be too concerned about what people will say. Because whatever you do, there will always be somebody who's like somebody. And Lizzie was actually an amalgamation of so many female Congress people I've come across. Even my wife accused me that maybe it was my girlfriend in Congress. Sam was running after her. But these are some of the things you do, you get to know as a writer. You just have to write what you want to write. And the other problem I had was in bringing in the romantic part of the story. Sam falling in love with the Fulani girl. And again, some of the critics I had was that, look, this is two books in one. There are the political aspects and there are the romantic aspects. And I did it because I didn't want to make the book too heavy, because not everybody liked reading politics all the time. And I had very good feedback from the ladies, particularly, that inclusion. The only thing they didn't like was that I didn't allow Sam to marry the Fulani girl. So why do you allow somebody to suffer to go all the way? He was giving about 10 strokes of the cane. At the end of the day, he didn't marry the girl. Again, this is the power of the author. Thank you.
Now we are going to Mr. Mark Howard. He's the intern principal of Wyndham Rogers Education Center in Fort Lauderdale. He will summarize his institution's experience in line with the assertion of Booker T. Washington that success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles which he has overcome while trying to succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome one of our innovative educationists, Mr. Mark Howard, to the
What I won't do today, I'm normally long-winded, and I can probably sit up here for an hour or two and speak, but I see we have some food arriving in the back, so I'm going to cut it short if you don't mind. I do want to take this opportunity to thank Ms. Johnson for the wonderful partnership that we have with Broward College and allowing us, my students, to come out and experience this opportunity. For those of you all that are sitting in the seats, I was once there. I was once a student and coming out and listening to folks speak and professors talk and trying to figure out what it is that I'm going to do. Because when I was in that seat, I really did not actually know what I was going to do. I just knew that I was in college, and at some point in time it would click. And so on behalf of Broward County Schools and Whitten Rogers and my principal, Mr. Watkins, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you and just to also talk to you about what we do in Broward County Schools. Whitten Rogers is one of 3 alternative centers in Broward County that focuses on alternative education. At Whitten Rogers, our mission is to provide alternative educational opportunities for a diverse student population, and at the same time, we're going to keep them safe and secure and make them feel comfortable. Whitten Rogers is probably the best kept secret in Broward County Schools. We have a lot of schools out there that are doing phenomenal things, but we consider ourselves the ICU of education. And we all know we've all had to go to the emergency room, and we've all had a parent or a loved one go to an ICU, and in that ICU they spend hours and hours of trying to provide care for emergency care for individuals who are not faring well. Well, that's what we do in Broward County, and that's what we do in the central area for our students at Whitten Rogers. We focus on a lot of things, but we also keep in mind the end. And what is the end for us? The end is allowing our students to graduate. We want to see every student that enrolls in our school walk across that stage. And it does not, there's a feeling of joy and admiration when you see that child that you knew you had to provide a lot of tough love, and you see them walk across that stage at the end of the school year. And for me, as macho as I try to be, it brings tears to me each year. And so we focus on our curriculum, we focus on our teachers, making sure we have quality instruction. We focus on having a support staff that's passionate about students, but we also focus on that child that comes through the door, a student that has not been successful in the traditional learning environment. For many of the students that come to us, they come to us with the feeling that a lot of people have already given up on them. We work with middle school, we work with high school students, and many of these students have had some type of failure in their lifetime. Many of the students, when we look at the data will say, well, these students have been suspended a number of times. These students probably are sitting at the low socioeconomic level. These students may have had at least 1 to 2, many of them 2 retentions throughout their academic career. And so when you're dealing with students who have not had that success, how do you motivate the unmotivated? And so under the guidance of my principal, Mr. Watkins, we work collectively as a family. We've all heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, our village at our school starts with the principal, but it's on down to our facilities personnel. And everyone has a role in our mentoring programs to help motivate these students. We have a program called Target Graduation, where we identify students who are 14 to 16 credits. They've earned 14 to 16 credits toward their 24 credit diploma. And so those students we target, we identify them, we find out what their strengths are, what their weaknesses is, and we work with them through progress monitoring. We meet weekly with these students and with the teachers, and we make sure that these students are coming to school every day. If a student doesn't come to school, they can't learn. And so we have incentives for students attending school. We monitor their behavior. Many of these students come to us with from time to time they may have some behavior issues. We have our social workers, our family counselors. We have partnerships with many social service groups that provide life skills training for our students. And so we tackle behavior issues, socio-economic issues through our social partnerships. And then our academics, and that's our progress monitoring. We work with our teachers to identify where our students are and where they need to go. And we really pound our students to make sure that they're getting those critical needs and those critical, the identifying where they're at and making sure that as instructors, we're providing a quality opportunity for them. So those are just some of the things that we do from an academic and social standpoint. Mr. Cato, if you don't mind standing up, Mr. Cato. Hey, put you on the spot. Mr. Cato is part of our mentoring initiative. And one of the things that we try to do at Whitten Rogers, though we're not one of the traditional academic programs in Broward County, we still want to provide our children, our students, with extracurricular activities. Whether or not it's the student government, Just Say No, Women of Tomorrow, but we also like to provide them with opportunities to play basketball. And we put together a basketball league, so to speak, kind of an intramural league, and Mr. Cato was very instrumental in doing that. And so we kind of have a little circuit of alternative schools that we play. And the gentleman that you see here today, if you can stand for me, guys. These gentlemen are students that come to school every day. Their behavior is on par. Their grades are on par. And they're doing what they need. Mr. Cato is following up with them every day, but they play on our basketball team. And that basketball team is an outlet for them to do what they did not have an opportunity to do in the traditional environment because maybe lack of credits or maybe not motivated. But through our what do we call them? Sorry, it's our Boys to Men, our Boys to Men initiative. They get to play basketball, they go through the mentoring, they go on field trips, and we do a lot of the progress monitoring with them so that we can help them be successful. So at Whitten Rogers, we do a lot of things to help students that when they come into the ICU, we fix them up and we send them out with a 24 credit diploma. All right? Are there any questions about what we do as an alternative program? All right. And I also like to introduce Mr. Watkins, our principal. Thank you.
A round of applause for Mr. Mark Owen. And let's rise up and give a standing ovation to everybody, all our speakers today, because they did a wonderful job. Now I'm going to have Mr. Joseph Pickering. Mr. Pickering, are you around? Yeah, I'm going to have him present with the President of National Council of Black American Affairs, Broward College Chapter, Mr. Richard Lewis, some recognition certificates or plaques to our speakers.
Good afternoon, everybody. I always know it's the worst place to be when you're between you and the food. So I will be brief. Well, what we wanted to do is we wanted to thank everybody again for coming out today, especially the students of Wyndon Rogers. I've been to Wyndon Rogers before. I love what you guys do over there, Mr. Howard, Mr. Watkins, and certainly Professor Budo, Professor Powell, Mr. Jones, and all the staff that has come in today. So we really appreciate you guys coming in and supporting the event today on behalf of the chapter for NCBAA. But we do have a couple of awards of recognition and for taking the time out today. And we wanted to first give an award to Mr. Lemon. We definitely appreciate you coming in from a long trip and to give a speech to us as well. So Dr. Carney, please come on. Last but not least, Mr. Howard, we don't want you to get you in trouble with Mr. Watkins, but we want you to come up and take this award as well.
Thank you all for coming out to this wonderful event. I'd like to also recognize Dr. Tella. He's put in a lot of work, and Professor Lewis. They've definitely put in tons of hard work and man hours to this event, so we would like to thank them for that time. Just so you guys know that the authors that came here to speak, they do have some of their books for sale over along this wall. So we have this book here is $20, I believe.
Yeah, $20.
This one is $30. $20 and $10.
And we have Miss Rosa Gaskins and Senator Victor Lawrence come up because if you look at the exhibition over there by the wall over there, they're the ones who put it together. There are books that impacted on African society, culture, and history. And you are welcome to actually go and look at some of those books. Ms. Gaskins? Yes. Let them see you.
So without further ado, you guys are welcome to eat. Just go ahead and form a line. The staff will welcome you.